Welcome back to More Sip2Tally. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and today on the More Sip2Tally Power Rankings, we have a first. We have a tie for fifth place. So today we're going to talk about one of the fifth place teams, and then tomorrow we'll talk about the other fifth place team. Today's agenda, up on today's agenda, the Minnesota Vikings. Let's get into their quarterback room, what they have coming back. And again, for them to be ranked this high after losing what they lost at the quarterback position is still a pretty good team. Start with their quarterback room. The projected starter to start off with is Sam Darnold. He didn't play much in a backup role last year. Only threw for 297 yards and 2 touchdowns. But they drafted J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, and they also have Nick Mullins in that room. And Nick Mullins was the most productive guy last year. He had 1,300 yards passing, 100 completions, 148 attempts. So I would say it's a healthy competition. With probably JJ's probably going to get the most leeway being a rookie. But it's a healthy competition between Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy, and Nick Mullins. And, Nick Mullins is a Southern Miss Golden Eagle to the top. But that's their quarterback room, and, may the best man win. Let's go to their running back room. They picked up Aaron Jones from Green Bay. Last year, Aaron didn't play but 11 games. He had 656 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones caught the ball in the backfield too, also 30 catches for 233 yards as it thunders outside. But I know what Aaron Jones can bring to the table as far as running the ball and catching the ball. He did it all those years in Green Bay. So the fact that his numbers were down last year, that's no detriment to what a healthy Aaron Jones can bring to the table. Also in that room, Ty Chandler, who rushed for 461 yards, and Kene Ngongwu, who's also in that room, who's super fast and should also bring some electricity to them in the kickoff return game. I think he's going to help them have a lot of shorter fields and maybe even pop a return or two with this new kickoff return rule. Let's talk about their wide receiver room. They have the best wide receiver in the game, in my opinion, Justin Jefferson. Jellis last year didn't play, but 10 games, still popped 1,000 yards, 1,074 yards, 68 catches, 5 touchdowns. The rookie last year, Jordan Addison, did admirable in his backup. 70 catches, 911 yards, 10 touchdowns as a rookie. They got rid of that number 3, but they brought in Brandon Powell, who had 29 catches, 324 yards. But it's going to be a battle for that number 3 spot between Brandon Powell, Trent Sherfield Sr., Jalen Naylor, and Lucky Jackson, who didn't have any stats last year. But the top 2 guys are really, really good. 10 touchdowns for Jordan Addison last year. And we know Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the game right now and the highest paid one right now also. The tight end room. Tight end room is pretty darn good and pretty deep, 1 through 3. They don't have the best guy, but they got 3 really good guys in that room. TJ Hockenson, 95 catches, 960 yards. Josh Oliver, who's one of the best blocking tight ends who can also catch the ball as well. 22 catches, 213 yards. And they also brought in Robert Tonyan. We know how Robert Tonyan was really starting to excel those last couple of years when Aaron Rodgers was in Green Bay, but they got him in Minnesota now as the 3rd tight end. So to have Robert Tonyan as your 3rd tight end speaks volume for those other 2 guys, and I really like their tight end room in Green Bay. Let's talk about the guys that's going to be blocking for the offense. Led by Christian Darrisaw, who's the best O-lineman for the Vikings. He graded out at 82.4. Dalton Reisner at 57.1. Garrett Bradbury, 69. Ed Ingram, 59.5. And Brian O'Neill, who's 74.5. Both their tackles are pretty good. They have some work to do on the interior, and I think they tried to address that a little bit in the draft. But overall, their O-line is okay. The PFF grades don't show that, but when you look at some of the stuff on tape from them, their O-line is better. And I think going forward, they'll try to address the interior of their O-line more going forward. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball and what they got coming back over there. Basing out of 3-4, their interior guys, the nose tackle and the 2-2s or the 4 eyes, or however they want to play them up there. Jerry Tillery, who had 2 sacks last year, 31 tackles. Harrison Phillips, 3 sacks, 2 tackles, and Jonathan Bullard had 2 sacks and 44 tackles. Those 3 guys are the guys that are going to try to, eat up blockers for their outside linebackers and their interior linebackers to make plays. But the guy up front for me is Jonathan Grenard. Came in from Houston, had 12.5 sacks, 52 tackles, 2 passes defended, and a forced fumble. He playing last year on the opposite side of Will Anderson, and Will didn't get the double teams last year, so Grenard was the guy that was getting that and still had 12.5 sacks until Will started to come on at the end. He had a good year, but there's discourse saying that Grenard was sack hunting to try to, get a contract. Well, he got a contract. And so let's see if he can put that together this year. But what I like, the fact that he got Andrew Van Ginkel on the other side, and Van Ginkel last year had 6 sacks and 69 tackles and 8 passes defended. But Van Ginkel started the year as a backup and still had a very productive year. He was behind Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb in Miami. He came in when those guys got hurt at different times, and in my opinion had a great year for a backup. And he parlayed that into a nice little payday, and now he's going to be the starter in Minnesota. So they got a formidable front 5, I think, to keep guys off their linebackers. And speaking of linebackers, they got a young linebacker that I really, really like, who we also share the first name, Ivan Pace Jr. He was had 102 tackles last year as a rookie, 2.5 sacks. Also in that room, they brought another Houston Texan over, Blake Cashman. He had 106 tackles last year, so him and Grenard have some familiarity together. Those 2 guys can make calls and kind of play off each other and do things like that. But those 2 linebackers are Pace being a young guy to run around and do a lot of things, and then Blake Cashman being like the leader. And I think Cashman will probably wear the dot for this team with him being a veteran right there, Cashman being 27 years old. The cornerbacks, Byron Murphy, 25, 13 passes defended, 3 interceptions, 57 tackles. Shaquille Griffin, twin, didn't play a lot of games last year, only had 39 tackles, 5 PDs, and 1 interception. Then that nickel is Josh Metellus, who played a little safety, but I think they're going to try to move him to nickel this year. He had 116 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 5 passes defended, and 1 interception. So he's going to be like a third safety / nickel, but he's going to play that role and get in there and help them out. And it's going to be a real help having a guy that can do a little bit of both. That changes defenses a lot, especially when you can change personnel but have the same people in there. That makes a lot of sense. And going to their regular safety room, you got the old vet Harrison Smith, 93 tackles last year, 3 sacks, a big hitter. Harrison Smith is a force. Anytime you run Harrison Smith, you better know where he is, or he might try to knock your head off. Even in the new NFL, he still try to knock your head off. Then the young buck Cameron Bynum, who I think was a rookie last year, had 137 tackles, 2 TFLs, 9 passes defended, and 2 interceptions. And their safety room is good. You got a savvy vet, got a young buck, and them 2 meshed together. Turns out to be a pretty good safety room. Let's take a look at all of their rooms, the rankings for all of their rooms, and you can see where they are. Let me know if I have them too high, too low, and then we'll go from there. Starting in their quarterback room. Their quarterback room, I have 31. Running back room, I have 10. Wide receivers, 15. Tight ends, first. O-line, 10. Defensive line edge, 15. Linebackers, 4. Cornerbacks, 18. And safety, 7. Add them all together, divide it, you get 12.3333. And again, they're in a tie for 5th. We'll talk about the second 5th place team tomorrow. Let's take a look at the Vikings draft picks and see how they fit into the team. Obviously, they drafted J.J. McCarthy first. He'll eventually be the starter. I don't know if he's going to start the season. I think they'll have healthy competition to start with. Nick Mullins, Sam Darnold, and J.J., but J.J. is eventually going to be the guy. Secondly, they picked Dallas Turner, linebacker out of Alabama. He's going to get into that rotation pretty quickly. You got Grenard, you got Van Ginkel. Dallas Turner's going to get into that rotation pretty quick. Kyrie Jackson, RIP Kyrie. I don't know if you don't know, Kyrie recently passed in a car accident here recently, so RIP Kyrie from that matter. I forgot about that completely until I read his name. My bad. Walter Rouse, the offensive lineman from Oklahoma. I'm just in this one right here. I can't finish this one out.